For those of you who may not know me, I'm Anthony Rodriguez, and it's an honor to speak here today in TED Talk. Now, you probably recognize these celebrities, such as Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, or Rachel McAdams, all known for their remarkable achievements in the film industry. But you may not have recognized them for their accomplishments as environmentalists. For example, DiCaprio established his own foundation to protect the natural wildlife in endangered ecosystems. Now more than ever, our environments demand critical attention from the destruction by fossil fuels, which is why the United States should implement strict regulations on the usage of these fossil fuels. The negative effects caused by fossil fuels can include the health of humans, the endangerment of animals, as well as the rising issue of global warming. To diagnose the side effects on humans, extracting fossil fuels such as coal can be detrimental to the human body. A common technique for harvesting coal is underground mining. However, this process can be severely harmful to miners in this industry. According to the Mine Health and Safety Administration, 77 total fatalities occur in underground sites. These are either caused by explosions or structural collapses. What's even more is that the health issues within these workers is just as prevalent as it is now. The chronic disease, black pneumoconiosis, which is also known as black lung disease, is still a major issue throughout workers. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, black lung disease is responsible for the death of 10,000 former mine workers, an astronomical number that only continues to increase the more we utilize these sources of energy. This factor alone should anger citizens around the nation, as such unhealthy work environments should not be tolerated. To provide a comparison for the deaths caused by mines, the total fatalities caused by renewable resources is only 600, making fatalities from coal nearly 16 times more than that from renewable resources, hydro, wind, and solar. In addition to coal producing grimy effects on the health of workers, oil has slipped into the conflict regarding the well-being of animals. According to a magazine by Forbes, approximately 1,300 oil spills have occurred in the past 7 years, amounting to 9 million gallons of oil leaked onto U.S. soil. However, this statistic is only confined to that on land, as those offshore have amounted to even more. For example, the Exxon Valdez oil tanker ran aground in the south coast of Alaska and leaked 11 million gallons of oil along the coast. This affected not only the habitants on the coast, but as well as the animals that dwell within this water. Approximately 2,000 sea otters, 300 seals, and 250,000 seabirds died days after this event, all reported by the Scientific American. I'd like to say that the Exxon Valdez spill was one of the few that occurred, but the reality is that there have been many more with the exact same toxic effects on the environment. For example, the largest that has occurred is the Deepwater Horizon spill, Deepwater Horizon explosion, which occurred in 2010. The explosion led to a discharge of 211 million gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. It was so large and vast that it became the second largest oil spill in human history. According to an Ecological Impact report, 2,000 birds were discovered dead, while more than 100 marine mammals fatalities were found. The conduct of extracting oil in the Deepwater Horizon was extremely irresponsible, and firm regulation was needed to identify such operation failures. If this incident had been prevented, thousands of animals would not have been permanently impaired. Even to this day, the Gulf of Mexico still contains remnants of this disaster. To add more fuel to these adverse effects, global warming has contributed to massive climate change throughout the world. Carbon dioxide within the atmosphere absorbs outgoing heat and later distributes it to various locations around the world, thus warming the entire planet and causing severe changes in the ecosystem. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, 75% of the United States carbon emissions are traced back to coal and oil. And furthermore, fossil fuels emit sulfur dioxide, which largely contributes to acidic rain. This form of toxic precipitation can enter into large bodies of water and injure animals that are sensitive to the influx of pH levels. While acidic rain that enters into groundwater to ground soil can deplete crucial nutrients that trees need in order to survive. The byproducts of carbon emissions leave lasting effects on almost everything it reaches. Ecosystems that once flourished have now been mutated into deathly graveyards. Grim evidence that carbon emissions have taken a serious toll on wildlife. However, some may argue that the usage of fossil fuels overwhelms that of the impacts. Due to the fact that coal, oil, and other forms are superior in terms of energy efficiency and conveniency. This may be true to some degree. However, the rapid consumption of fossil fuels will greatly deplete these natural resources in matters of years. Instead, the country should divert from the uses of non-renewable resources and focus primarily on renewable resources that can last centuries to come. If we continue this reckless pattern of behavior, humans will continue to suffer from chronic diseases. Animals could potentially suffer more catastrophes, and the rising issue of global warming will continue to siphon all life from this planet. One does not have to be a celebrity to demand environmental change within this country. Through the power of democracy, the voice of the majority can enact unprecedented laws to strictly regulate the usage of fossil fuels. The environment should not have to suffer the toxic consequences of our actions. Once again, I am Anthony Rodriguez, and thank you for listening to the TED Talk.
Thank you, Anthony Rodriguez. The environment thanks you, too. Why do you